Welcome to the Be That Healing Girl podcast. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can already tell how special this episode is going to be because today on this episode, we're going to be talking about anxiously attached with an avoidant to becoming secure together anniversary episode. And we have a special guest. Who are you?
Craig, and I've also been known as the husband of Claire Cui.
You have you been known that
I
as
have
that?
been known as that
I love
for
that.
how many years?
Well, if we're going to get technical, it's our 6 year wedding anniversary, 9 years together.
But husband for.
Husband for 6 years. Wow. So special. And I'm really excited because we have some questions from people on the gram. And I'm really excited to kind of ask these questions because while I've maybe thought of some of them in a different way, it's interesting and cool to hear you all give your voice and ask these questions too. And we have a special little kind of announcement towards the end of the podcast. Excited to share. I don't even think Craig knows the announcement. You do actually know the announcement. We're announcing it here publicly to
Mhm.
people what's happening. Yeah, and that's good because we might want to do another episode on what that deal is about. Anyway, so let's go ahead and ask some questions. And I first want to do a little recap because maybe the people that listen to the podcast want to send this to their partner to know how to heal. And so I want to do a little recap on what it means to be anxiously attached or avoidant attached. Do you remember what those are at all?
You can go ahead and remind me if you'd like.
I'm happy to, Craig.
Thank you.
And so what I also love about this is just true for our relationship because some people ask, well, should I tell my partner what my attachment style is or should I ask them? And my response is you can, but a lot of times we ask that question because we want to try to control an outcome. We think that if somebody knows something about us, then their behavior will change and they'll treat us differently. And while I think communication is important, it's also important that somebody knowing something about you as far as attachment style isn't a guarantee that you're going to feel safe and that their behavior is going to change or that you're going to feel any different. So we have different language within our relationship and marriage to describe what's happening when we're getting triggered. So we go right to the core of when we're triggered, this is what's happening. And that's my whole approach with attachment styles and with one-on-one clients. So Craig, I am anxiously attached, which basically means that when I was growing up, my early conditioning and my caregivers, it was really inconsistent. That was the feeling. It felt like maybe there was some volatility. There was volatility, there was reactivity, there was a lot of unsureness growing up. It was inconsistent. I didn't know, what was going to happen. And so in that, I desire closeness. For me, closeness means and equates to safety. Okay. You, my love, are avoidantly attached. And basically, what that means is that for you and your early conditioning, your early upbringing, your feelings were not that important. They maybe didn't even matter. And you really had to withdraw to deal with your own emotions, to navigate them because they just weren't important. They weren't valued. So when you feel triggered, you tend to not want closeness. When you feel that there's something to be scared of or there's something happening in the relationship, there's a tendency to shut down, to need space, to take your time. Does that ring a bell?
To run away.
To run away is, I mean, and you were a bit of a wild pony a lot of times in our early dating. Do you remember running away?
Oh
I'm so- Your expression kills me.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Not because of you, but now knowing.
Yeah. It's because, well, why did you think you're running away?
Well, it was getting too close to having to be vulnerable.
Hmm.
Um, it was getting to a point where I was going to have to expose flaws in myself or truths about myself that I wanted to keep solely to myself.
Mm,
Um, it was just very indicative of like every single relationship I've had.
yeah.
up until that point.
For sure. Yeah, you're a runner, man. Well, I'll talk about a time here in a moment, but yeah, running definitely. And I would chase. I would for sure chase you. And so glad to know that that's not the case anymore. And we've learned how to navigate those triggers and to
Learning.
learning. Yeah, of course, absolutely. We are definitely not perfect, but we're in the process of learning and learning together.
Yep.
So okay, first question is a funny story from traveling on long drives. And for those of you who didn't know, Craig and I, for 3 years, were living the full time RV lifestyle. We were traveling full time. And I definitely have, I wouldn't say it's necessarily funny, but do you have one or should I go first?
Um, I can think of maybe a couple, but it wasn't necessarily like funny. We were both laughing. It was funny in my own head.
Really? What
Yeah.
what is it?
Well, it mainly had to do with, um, well, this might be dating me or you. Chris Farley in Happy Gilmore, how frustrated he was behind the wheel of the school bus.
Mm-hmm.
Was that Billy Madison? Did I say?
I think it's Billy
It's definitely
Madison.
Billy Madison
Yeah.
because that was the school one.
Mhm.
Just how frustrated he would get and just like red in the face. But I even have a picture because I had to calm myself down. We were traveling, it was probably the third time we were going back out to San Diego, and we had left Albuquerque. And so we were in the northwest corner of New Mexico, and it was snowing. And anytime there's precipitation or wind, things get a little more tense. I mean, I'm already driving you, Murdoch, and everything we own.
All the things you love all in one
Yeah.
spot. No pressure.
And so it's snowing, and I look over, fast asleep. I turn to the back, dogs, fast asleep. So it's just like one shift. You guys could just go peacefully, and I'll have to suffer. But it was just that moment of like, huh, that is a lot of trust right now.
I was sleepy. You driving makes me feel so safe. I get sleepy.
Yeah. And I have to not listen to music and just sit with myself.
Well, you could have listened to music. I would have
Oh, I
given
was
this
listening to music in my head. It
rage,
was,
rage, death metal kind of music.
yeah, maybe
Yeah.
some.
Well, that's kind of cute and funny. I mean, mine's kind of similar where okay, definitely not funny then, but slightly funny now where we again, we're driving the RV, which is like all our entire family and like all the things that we own and we took, I guess Google Maps had rerouted us off somewhere and we basically were driving for 90 minutes or 2 hours on like this death swirly on hills, quick turns, and I think we even had we I had I saw a sign that was telling us no pull behind trailers, and it was
And what's funnier is I saw the sign. And this, I'm not referencing the song. I saw it. And I asked, did we just pass a sign that said RV trailers shouldn't go past here?
I think
So that's interesting how you interpret, probably even interpret the story of how we met, right?
oh well somebody did ask well not how we met but I think okay I will rephrase that maybe the sign was on my side and so
Definitely.
and so
Because I told you it was on your side.
maybe I was supposed to be paying attention and
Navigating.
well, I was navigating on the phone and then
It's on the screen for
I,
both of
I,
Okay.
well, we survived and to me, see, it's funny to me now. It's not funny to you right
Oh,
now
it was
because
not funny. That was like a spiral race around a mountain in a truck trailer that shouldn't be taking those
that's
turns.
true. Yeah, and you handled it so great,
I'm just
babe.
glad you were awake for that one.
I'm glad I was awake too and we survived. That was great. Okay,
Truly.
so think it's maybe funny now, but maybe it for sure wasn't funny then. Okay, second question. And this is like a little deeper. So, do you remember the first time that I was spiraled and we had a major disconnect? And maybe it wasn't the first time, or maybe it's like a big time. I'm curious what was happening for you, and I'll just share the moment that was happening for me. So, um, the time that feels actually really important was I was living down in quote unquote Arizona, which the bottom of Denver metro, which you would call Arizona because you were living in Montana to me. You were living in Boulder. But I was living in the apartment before we moved in together, and there was just it was a very distinct time where you were about to run, like literally, y'all, he would get in his truck or actually physically run away. That's how bad it was. And I just remember d- I finally had like cracked open my heart to you, and I basically had said something to the effect I was just totally vulnerable around this just feels so familiar. People leave me. You're gonna leave. And it wasn't from a place of like begging. I just finally said the hard thing that kind of broke the bubble. And in it was the first time I was actually really vulnerable from a place of I just wanted you to really see the hurt, not from a place of if I just start crying and telling you all these things, you're gonna stay. Because I had tried that before, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I remember that I just finally got so vulnerable and showed you the pain, like what I was actually hurting. And it was a time where you really turned towards me. You actually saw the thing that was hurting the most and you didn't run. And in fact, I think I even said like you need to go and like you always leave and something like that. And you saw my hurt and you stayed with it. Do you remember that?
I vaguely, but yes.
Yeah. Why maybe vaguely, Craig?
Well, any time that was like escalating in emotion from you or me or both of us, it would get intense in my body, and those safety mechanisms would just like trigger. And to think about like, okay, I do actually care about this person. I need to figure out what's going on with me so that I can refocus my attention on the other person. So it was, and it's always tough to do because I really don't like focusing on myself. I'd rather turn the attention to the other person, but you can't do that effectively or with the right state of mind unless you figure out kind of what's triggering you as well,
Mm,
personally.
yeah. It's so interesting to hear you because you have language around it now, and before we didn't have language around what was happening.
Well, you did. I had zero. Well, maybe, eh, yeah, let's go with zero.
That's why you think could there be negative to zero or
Oh, I'm sure that could be. Nah, how do you have negative? I don't know. Maybe it can have negative emotion. I think mathematically that probably doesn't exist, but
yeah, mathematically that just you hated me saying that probably.
probably. It's kind of like, give 110%. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm going to grow an extra arm.
Like logical mind here, guys. But I would definitely say, so do you even remember that specific time or do you just remember, yeah.
Because I do think it happened probably more than you or I want to admit, where it was just like, is this really going to work? Like, there's been some confrontations there, but
Oh, I remember.
I clearly,
Oh, I remember. I
cle-
know how hard it was.
clearly,
Yeah. And I would definitely say that, yeah, you didn't have language around it. You have language now around it, but you definitely, I could feel that you were really putting in the work in that moment to meet me and be there. And yeah, it's incredible to even hear you talking and being able to reflect about it. Because I think there was even a time where you probably even wouldn't have been able to talk about it without getting re-triggered.
correct. 110%.
Yeah. And I guess I'm just curious even now, like how are you able to have us talk about it and feel more regulated and more open to even have a discussion around it?
I think that's based off of just going to retreats and working on the self. It's kind of like, oh, I have grown.
Hmm.
Because it's been tough to really see and feel the growth because it's been slow and maturing. That reliving that or re-experiencing or just talking about it again is like, oh shit, I have, like, otherwise I'd be out of here right now type.
Totally. Yeah, you would in the
Yeah.
past. You would have just jetted or gotten angry or upset that we were talking about it. And yeah, it's pretty cool that we can
I don't
have
know if
that.
I would get angry, maybe shut down.
Yeah, maybe shut down.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, to me, that shutdown feels angry in the
Oh,
past, right?
interesting.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. So the next question that's a little lighter and more fun. How somebody wants to know, Anna wants to know how you proposed.
Who's Anna?
One of my followers, and
What's
she's in the Healing Girl gang.
Anna or Anna?
Anna.
Okay, Anna.
Anna. We have a friend named Anna.
Okay. How I proposed, there were a couple of options floating in the cranium. Um, One involved a new pet, but then there were a lot of logistics involved with that. So that's, I don't know if I've actually told you like the one, two, maybe even like backup plan I had.
I don't know about, well, let's say
I'll
the,
just get to the one that happened.
sure, whatever.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, little background was that we met at a baseball game. Um, I enjoy watching baseball when I go to baseball games. You apparently enjoyed going to baseball games to meet people
Yeah.
or male humans, right?
That's where the guys are at, for sure. And it's a good time. If you've never been to the Rockies Stadium or MLB, it's I mean, they're not great.
Yeah, it's a good stadium,
It's
which is
like,
a problem because people keep going. But
I know.
anyways, we met there, so I was like, well, kind of full circle. Let's consider to go back and I'm talking to myself, like building myself up, like, is this a good idea? Will she be okay with it? Or, and so to put things in motion, I contacted your really good friend to talk about what kind of ring you liked and would she go with me because I'm a jewelry expert. So she went with me, and then I kind of talked her through the plan of getting some tickets to the baseball game. And I was just kind of floating the idea with her because she knew you really well. And she's like, yeah, that does sound good. And so what ends up happening is the tickets were actually playoff tickets. So it made it that more exciting because there were going to be a different type of people there. But leading up to it was also, okay, how do I just say we're going to a Rockies game and be okay with going to a playoff game? But go to breakfast, nice breakfast in the morning, have some champagne for no apparent reason, and we go up to we don't go straight to our seats. We mosey up to the exact spot and area that we met, that you approached me. Um, which is a rooftop bar. Um, and I was for sure like, oh, she'll catch on. Oh, I, it's kind of like that sign past you on the right, and you said, oh. But we get there, your friend has the camera, videotapes it, and I have to literally push you off of me because we're taking pictures together. I'm like, get off so I can get down. And I had a phrase with your friend of like, when's a good time to make sure, like, switch it to video. And yeah, proposed there where other people were not my cup of tea per se to do it in such a social setting, but yeah, to have it come full circle of where we met to where we were going to start a life together right there at Coors Field.
Coors Field.
Coors Field.
Totally. It actually really was sweet. And Yeah, full circle where we met, and where we got engaged. And we actually, I just remembered too, we have a picture. We did stop by there on our wedding day, and not
Yeah.
inside the stadium, but we stopped by to take a picture there. So
Right.
super cute. Yeah, really special. I will say that the backup idea of the dog, like I would have completely. I can understand though, like also maybe any concern. A dog is a big
Right.
thing for the both of us forever and ever, and I probably would have wanted some insight or, like, obviously, we love Westies. That's our
That's where the logistics were coming into
yeah.
it. But
Yeah.
it's also interesting, like leading up to the actual day of the real proposal, not the backup plan, was just knowing your relationship with your mother and sister and having to not have that much interaction face to face with them, but calling them and say, hey, I plan on proposing to your daughter, to your sister, and just kind of being traditional, semi traditional in that sense. Oftentimes you ask the father, but
Mm,
that was also kind of a interesting experience because of the interaction I did or didn't have with them prior to that.
mm,
So
yeah, super sweet. You're great. I loved it. I loved the proposal, and it was super special. We have video and pictures, obviously. Okay, next question. What have you learned about how different we are, our energies, how they're different? And even what have you learned with our differences and how I like intimacy and closeness? And I guess what have you learned about how different we are?
um, I guess what I've learned is to embrace the differences, um, because we are different. Um, you get to talk about feelings and connection all day, which is great. I'm glad that you get to do that and experience that. I think that provides a lot of growth for you and all those that you get to work with. I, on the other hand, have a lot of like solo time throughout my day. And then when I get home, I'm not, well, you'd say I'm grumpy when I get home, but it's just knowing that I've got to be prepared to be there for you when I get home. So but you've also learned to give me space. So it's like a weird, I need space when I get home from work, but you want to be in it.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of just knowing that exists. And we never, well, I wouldn't say we never get it right, but it's just, I think the knowing helps. Um, what else was there?
Yeah, just like differences as far as our energies. I mean, that's a very obvious example too. And I love what you're just even sharing is like we're not getting it like perfect or right every time. It's the understanding
Yeah.
that, oh, and I think before that was a real tender spot for both of us. I think that would cause friction and arguments even. And I just understand, yeah, it's something personal. Like you just need to decompress when you get home, and I think you've also learned that sometimes I just am bubbling to connect with you
Right.
in that way.
Yeah.
And it's not about I'm right and you're wrong or you're right and I'm wrong. It's oh, that actually we're just very, very different. And for me, I'll just speak for me, like I love that about you. I love that you are more um you're very grounded, like you that's one of your superpowers of going deeper into yourself in that way versus one of my shadow qualities is that I can be kind of scattered and not really be self-contained. Um, and again, there's like pros and cons. There's light and shadow to both of that, but I think we've learned how to really dance that beautifully. And I can't even remember the last time that we had kind of weirdness around coming home.
Have I told you what I used to do
What
when I was a teacher?
I think you used to get naked.
Like bare, like socks off.
Yikes.
Just,
Yeah, you needed to shed. You needed to like get
oh, it was a day.
oh, I bet. I can only imagine, especially being as shut down as you were, you probably just needed to like let loose. But okay. Yeah, I love that you shared that. And the last part here is what feels easy with us now that used to feel hard?
I guess going out on our own. Um, I think there used to be times where I know you wanted to be together, do things together, and so when I would want to hang out with somebody other than you, it got weird because I was afraid to even ask.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, obviously there was a New Year's trip down to Texas that's kind of similar in the sense of like I want you to go, but then yeah.
Mm,
But I think what I've learned is time apart can be good. Um, but it is also interesting, like while I'm apart from you, I'm still thinking like, would she enjoy this? Should I have invited her? But realizing like I still need that time to myself and with my friends because there's plenty of occasions where we've done things together. So I think what's been easier is communicating with you about my desire, my need to go do things so that when we do things together, they're even more enjoyable.
yeah. And it's cute too because I do notice I can't even, I guess, well, do you remember the time that you went out with some guy friends that you used to work with here and you were texting me and like, it was really cute because that it just was such a 180 from how we used to operate. And I was like, okay, bye, see you later. Like, go have fun. I'm gonna like sit here with a face mask and chill. And it just feels so different in a great way. And I can feel you thinking about me. I can tell by how you text and the interactions that we have that you are considering that. And it's just so fun and cool. It's just so fun and cool. Sorry, Lauren. Murdoch. Sorry, Lauren. Go to bed. Go to bed. Sorry, Lauren. Go to bed. It's over there. Oh my God.
Bed.
So we edit some stuff. It's just so cool to see how much we've grown. And I was also thinking about this fact and truth too is it's not necessarily because we're married, because I could easily see somebody saying, "Oh, because you're married now, like you don't care about like them spending time apart." And I'm like, That's actually not it. It's actually because I've learned how to soothe myself and feel safe within myself. And as because people can have anxious attachment and be married and be in long-term relationship. It's not about the other person. So yeah, I'm like, "Okay, like, do you guys you wanna go on a Vegas trip with your guy friends for Halloween?" Which is something that I do think you should do. I really do. And I can go and do something else. But, yeah, I think it's really cool and interesting to think about. This actually has so little to do yes, we're married and I feel safe, but it's not necessarily just the marriage why I feel safe to do that. Um, I am actually gonna throw this one in the mix, which I feel like this is a good thing for somebody to share with a partner because one thing that I love about you is that you're a dude. Like you are just a dude and you watch sports and you're a man, you work with your hands and you are just so awesome as a man in that way. And also you have done some really deep work and you have developed an emotional intelligence that I knew was there. Like you had the capability of it, but really you've stretched your wings to do that. And I guess what would you say to a man who has potential or has maybe somebody, a partner can, a woman can see that in their partner and he's maybe scared to get help or I don't know, like what would you say to that person or that guy that's has the ability to tap into his emotions but maybe doesn't know how
I would start off by saying I am far, far, far from an expert. But I guess I would go into what I've learned, how I feel like I've grown with you. Um, I would just provide some personal experiences so that way maybe they can find some connection to, okay, I've also felt that way or done that. Because I'm not good at interpreting somebody's background as you are of how it's affecting them within themselves and within a relationship. So it's really, I feel like I would just share my own experience with them. I would absolutely be asking them questions about what they do in certain situations, but I would not feel like I'm qualified to say, should have done that instead, bro. But
Well, let me
I
rephrase the
I think I would
question.
have been asking though, I would have been asking them questions of how do you think she or he felt when you did that? So it's because a lot of times when I do things that maybe aren't healthy for the relationship, I should have been asking myself, how did that make the other person feel?
Mm,
You.
hmm.
But sorry, I interrupted you.
No, thanks. I guess let me rephrase the question of besides the things that we were experiencing in our relationship, what made you so open to developing and doing work, essentially, doing spiritual work or therapy? Like what was the piece that really helped you to open to it?
Um, I don't know if being as simple as I needed to grow up is good enough, but
Hmm.
like I think that's been the ultimate theme of the past 9 years with you of growing the F up.
Hmm.
Am I allowed to curse?
Sure.
Okay. Growing the fuck up. Yeah, I chose to do things and experience things in life as a just an immature person. And so for me, I eventually for myself wanted to grow up.
Hmm.
And lucky for you, you just be part of that. But yeah, you had a ton of influence on wanting to grow up in the sense of like you had this and this quality. Because I mean, it wasn't a long distance relationship, but like that distance between us could have been a reason to say this isn't going to work. But there was enough there and that feeling for myself of wanting to grow up. Like I was
To start again at that feeling of myself.
that feeling of myself really wanting to grow up was really what triggered it. But I don't know what triggered wanting to grow up other than, okay, you've done this, this, and this. A lot of them associated with work or progression in life. And so it was kind of, I mean, it simply I wanted and needed to grow up. And that entailed doing that for you, for me, and alongside of you. So it was just, and growing up meant facing all the shit that I had been avoiding.
Yeah.
So,
I also think when I hear you say grow up, I mean, that's also some of our language in our relationship and from our teacher, but growing up is also like growing out of things, right? So if a plant is growing in a pot at the sprout, like it needs eventually to move to a bigger pot because the discomfort, the uncomfortability of in the small pot is just no more. And I could definitely see that for you too and myself. Like where the leveling up and the growing had to happen because what the strategies that were being used and that were outdated were no longer working. Can does that
yeah,
sound
I mean, growing up for me was getting past a certain maturity level that I had or hadn't been experiencing. But yes, it was also shedding all of those techniques I had set in place to help to avoid from intimacy in a relationship. So it wasn't so much of growing up, it was shedding as you're
Mm,
experiencing
I
or
love that.
referencing.
Yeah. Shedding. The big shed. Love that.
Shedding.
Shedding. So we're so we're gonna do a little lightning round.
Hmm.
Little lightning round, quick question. What is my most chaotic trait?
Chaotic trait. Just like crazy
Sure. Chaotic. What is my most chaotic or crazy trait?
that you want to be rubbed and touched all the time.
It's true. How do I signal to you that I want to be?
Any way you can. You will grab my hands. You have grabbed my hands and put them on your back. Maybe while I'm using them for something else. Brushing my
No,
teeth.
they could be used to pet for sure.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's funny. That's not what I thought you would say.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hold on. What did you think I was going to say?
I don't know, like that I'm messy or something, or I forget things.
Oh,
It's close
sore,
second and third.
sore subject.
Too soon?
Too soon.
Yeah, okay. What is our toxic couple trait?
Hmm. I think maybe just, oh, I don't know. Our toxic couple trait.
I'm gonna give what I think ours is. In that is that we have a good ability to do an Irish goodbye.
Hmm.
It's pretty toxic. Instead of just like saying goodbye or to the people that are there, we just like bounce. Well, that's also because too, like you have such a hard time saying goodbye at parties, Craig. Just say goodbye. So then there's no middle, we just bounce these days.
That does sound bad now that you say it.
I know. It's not good. So, okay. The next question is what is your immediate ick with me? Do you know what icks are?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. What is your immediate ick with me?
Um, a lot of them have to do with the bathroom.
Yeah.
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 I don't, should I go more specific?
I mean, be careful, but yeah, be more specific.
Okay. Well, I guess my immediate ick that's not in the bathroom is just how loud your sneezes are. Eardrum shattering.
Craig,
I've gone to concerts where my ears aren't ringing. It's it's
Craig,
deafening.
okay, so he does this thing when we're driving in the car and I feel a sneeze coming on. He plugs the ear that's close, like that I'm facing. It's not,
I
that's a
can't lose
little,
both of them. Keep one intact.
okay, Craig. Right. Okay. Immediate ick. All right. Who's a better driver?
We are. I'm trying to get
No.
troll here.
Who's who's a better driver?
I think we both have pretty good driving qualities.
There's one or the other, and we're
I'm the
truth
better
partner.
driver.
Who is? Okay. I would somewhat agree. All right. What is a couple joke, like our joke between us that we can't explain? That would be so hard for people to get.
Hmm. I think there's a lot of office references.
There's a lot of office references for sure.
Um, maybe some inappropriate words that it'd be tough to explain why it's appropriate in certain situations.
Wait, now you have to say it.
No, I'm not.
Why not? Now I don't even know what you're talking about.
Good.
Hold on, just say it and then we can edit it.
No.
Wow, it's that bad?
Yes.
Okay, so if they DM me, do I have permission to share it?
We'll talk about it later.
Oh, wow, it's that intense. Wow, now I'm curious what you're talking about. I don't even
I'm
know.
curious that you don't think anything what we say to each other is
Wow, it's that censored. Okay, cool.
PC.
PC. Oh, okay, got it. Um, all right. Well, this was super fun. Oh, and our fun little announcement, which kind of ties into the question around how did you get to this point in work and growing up? So, what are we doing this summer that is completely different than what you have ever done before and that we've ever done?
I mean, I've gone
Please.
actual camp, please.
Please.
But we're going on we're taking a couple of trips out to California to be with community and to work on ourselves. But the setting is going to be mildly different, where it's not at a retreat space or at somebody's house. It's going to be on a mountain, um, camping.
Yeah.
So, and technically solo camping with some apparent check-ins, but yeah, I'm excited for it. I'm a little nervous for you actually because of the one. Have we even gone camping twice?
Once.
Yeah,
Wait, we've been glamping when in the
that's not
RV.
camping.
It is camping to me.
Literally in a tent. But yeah, I am a little nervous that you'll have to. Let's shows aside, those have not given you enough knowledge on how.
Naked and Afraid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay, so what's happening is we're doing a big retreat with our community, and it is the biggest one that they offer. It is an outside wilderness retreat, but not like Naked and Afraid kind of retreat. It's actually like a deeply spiritual retreat on a mountain. That is a very like historically special spiritual place. And there's a couple of components to it that I have never done and you have never done that we're doing together for the first time. There's a fasting component, which I think is going to be interesting because I've got a lot of just feelings around that. I finally have overcome them and we're going to do it. And also, well, I've been sober for the past 6 months, but you're going to be for the fast to participate. You're going to have to be sober, which has always been like an interesting subject. I think in the past for us, I think in the past couple years, I've really weaned off alcohol, so that I feel like that's a totally different podcast. But so there's a fast, no drinking, and then it is a deep like we're gonna be gone for 10 days essentially offline. So really excited. That's a special announcement. I should have maybe said, like, we're not pregnant. That's also I could imagine people thinking, "Oh my god, are they pregnant? They're gonna release it on the podcast." But, we're gonna be birthing a soul baby.
Hello.
I feel like that's a joke. That's an inside joke that it's
It's
hard to explain.
a family heirloom.
It is a family heirloom, but, I mean, that is a funny, uniquely joke because I say that pretty much every morning when do I say
Turd drop out of the dog.
whenever it's a funny it's hard to explain. Whenever Murdoch takes his morning poo, I I immediately turn because it's like he'll be doing it out of nowhere. I'm
Now, do
like,
you do that while you're by yourself?
"No, I don't. I don't. I don't. I don't. I don't." I say it when he poops. So I guess that is like a family inside joke that is hard to explain. Like, why do I just I can't even help it. I just say, I see him poop and I go, "Hello."
Hello.
That's that's Craig's grandfather used to say that a lot. What would he say that in reference to?
Almost anything.
Yeah, because I started picking it up, obviously.
Hmm.
Yeah. But that was our episode for today. Anniversary. Happy anniversary, babe. I love you so much. Oh, smoochles. Mwah. Love you and love you guys. Thanks for listening. Mwah.
Thank you.